install the stereo on this vehicle, we need to put a fascia plate in, which we'll just screw into there using the original screws in the 4 holes there. This one here is for a double DIN version, but you can get a single DIN which will have a pocket built into the bottom for a single stereo to go into the top. So once the fascia plate is in, we will then have to start to reassemble the dash panels. Now obviously the original stereo was in 3 pieces, so therefore with this panel here I'm afraid we need to remove these 2 bars here. So once removed you'll never be able to put the car back to a factory fit without actually getting a new one of these panels. Now to remove these 2 pieces here, all we need to do is use a nice simple hacksaw blade and chop through, leaving maybe 2mm on each piece here. Now be very careful when cutting anything to not obviously drop and catch any of this part here. Now for a quick test, just to make sure it all fits, we'll slot the piece back in. Now we'll sit like that. You may need to possibly file these edges here a little bit more just to be able to make it a little bit neater. If you have everything fitting in nicely, you need to remove the panel and we need to try and feed this piece back down the same hole it came out of. Which is there, right between the plastic heater matrix and the metal arm. It has to go through the middle of those 2 there. And then we have to try and feed this piece back into the rear of the heater controls here. This can be very awkward and very difficult, even for people that are skilled at this job. So don't worry if it takes you quite a while to do. So we slot that back in quite nicely and then sit and fight for a few minutes until we have the panel back in. Okay, once we have the panel back in, we need to go back down into this area here again to then clip the cable in for the heater. You can see it's already hanging down. We have to hook it back, clip it back into the hole. And that just pushes in. Then we have this piece here, which it just hooks onto there. And that's that piece now clipped back in. Run the heater controls to make sure everything works correctly like that. And then we can start putting the panels back together. So now we can start putting the panels back on. We start by putting this one back in and then clipping it back into place. And if there's a screw on you want, you need to put the screw back into that hole there to hold it in. Okay, with the clip underneath done and the panel back in, we need to put the 2 screws in for this side of the panel. Now we need to put the panel back in underneath the steering column, which has a hole here for a clip to go into to hold one side quite happily for you. So once you find it and have it located, you push it in. That will then down and put the 2 screws in above the pocket. We now need to put the 3 screws in along the bottom here again. That's now this panel in completely. We now need to start putting the screws back in for the rest of the sensor panel. Now we have the panel underneath the steering column and the 2 screws outside. We need to screw in the 2, 4 and 6 screws, so 2 under the bottom, 2 inside here. The last 2 side of the glove box. Now we need to reinstall the glove box itself. Push the clips in at the bottom. It just pushes on, then lift it up, squeeze the sides in. That's then back in, ready to go. We now need to reinstall the switches in the middle, which we just click back together, push back in. That's now ready to have the stereo installed into the vehicle.